You're going to be sitting there waiting for inspiration when you're 28.
This is when you don't have skills. It's mental laziness. Most people can't turn off that hamster wheel of how do I get more famous from this. This is beyond the grasp of a lot of people, okay? Anybody could do it. No.
This is the one thing that nobody does that you really have to do.
To make what is required, return to 𝐒𝐈𝐴. People are not doing that.
And then you're going to have to get a regular job, and you won't have any skills to get a regular job, except for what? Editing video?
Listen, the problem with the vaporwave stuff and the old stuff is that people, they're only picking up on the aesthetic and they're not actually trying to make good. It's like candy. It's like they're making a cake only out of frosting. Stop doing that if that's what you're doing. Just stop. Get good at what you're doing. This guy right here, this is like PS2 graphics, old style. It's got the nostalgia, the vaporwave, all that, but it's actually really good, like solid. This is awesome.
The chat likes it too. There's a ton of W's. Everybody likes it.
World 4 Jack and Daniel White, we like them. But this is the way to do it. If you're gonna do vaporwave, actually know how to fucking make music before you start putting all the sound effects in.
Everybody today, your hype comes from your reel and your distinct style and your Instagram page. Everybody today they're only making stuff that fits their own style, and the ability to make what's required. You've seen my art. You know what my style is. It's like loud. It wouldn't fit in any of these things, right? It's like if I tried to make flashy, loud, glitchy graphics for Seven, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah, G.I. Jane.
The ability to make what is required, people are not doing that.
Well, it's the equivalent to be able to harmonize with people. It'd be like the equivalent of like Taylor Swift being able to go hang out with like Bones and being like, cut my face with like
musicians used to be able to do that too.
You're right.
People have probably heard this, and it's like a hackneyed thing to say at this point, but it's whatever the problem is, solving the problem, and it's essentially harmonizing with the world to make the piece that you're working on fit inside of the context of whatever else is happening.
100%. It's like when people build modern houses in the Hamptons, and this house is universal, and then you start to shop for houses in the Hamptons. You go, that looks ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, this is stupid. Or it's like having a steak fry or a steak dinner when there's seafood outside. A chef would go, no, we're going to use local fare and we're going to cook, and we're going to use the best of our guild or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is and the ability to be able to switch gears and be like, okay, no, this. You're not going to play metal music at a child's birthday party.
The thing that requires that the reason why this is a problem is because that requires shutting out your ego.
Yeah.
If what you're best at is metal music, and you have like an Instagram page, you have a following, and you're known for metal music, and if you for whatever reason had to like play a child's birthday party, like that's not an unimportant thing. Like creating a joyful memory for children that you would never get views or like some type of fame boost from that. But it's in terms of like the world and the structure of what things are important, like creating memories for children that don't involve heavy metal music, that's pretty important.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And most people can't turn off that hamster wheel of how do I get more famous from this for 5 seconds to be able to settle down and do something that like fits and it fits in the context of the world.
And that's, I think, yeah.
How do I determine which aspects of my videos I need to prioritize improving?
You know, if you post it, people will tell you. It's hard to suss out because what they'll say is this sucks, and their criticism won't be that constructive. But you know, there'll be 9 comments that say this sucks, and there'll be 1 comment that's like, you should do this instead of this, and then that's usually the reason why it sucks. You know, or just keep working. You got to work faster. That's the one piece. If you're doing something creative, this is the one thing that nobody does that you really have to do, is you have to work faster. I'm sorry, but music, video, comedy, whatever you guys are doing, if you're sitting there waiting for inspiration, you're going to be sitting there waiting for inspiration when you're 28, and it's going to still suck. And then you're going to have to get a regular job, and you won't have any skills to get a regular job, except for what? Editing video? You have to work like there's a gun pointed to your head. What you really have to do is you have to treat it like a 9-to-5 job. So at 9 a.m., be sitting in your computer chair, not on your phone, figuring out what you have to do that day to be productive, and then like work that way till 5 p.m. with a 1-hour lunch break, and don't be on your phone, and don't be sitting there looking for inspiration. Treat it like a blue collar gig. Treat it like it's a job where you have to produce something, and then you'll actually get somewhere good. In my opinion, just make more.
Sam, I'm in my last semester about to graduate in industrial design. With the advent of AI design tools, I'm worried about the future of ID job.
Industrial design is one of those fields that's it's under attack from all angles. You got the Chinese, like, you know, look on Amazon, look at a Chinese car show, 𝐒𝐿 Automotive. Like, they're starting to design their own stuff, and you're just gonna be, no matter what, you're gonna be competing with people who do whatever it is that you do for way cheaper. Let alone, you know, they're not that bad. The stuff they make is passable. Like, it looks like a product, and nobody really cares if a product is, you know, people are not buying Braun coffee machines, Braun alarm clocks. People are not buying, you know, the 𝐁𝐼𝐕𝐄𝐄𝐿 iMac. People just buy whatever is cheapest on Amazon. So I think industrial design is a dead end.
Cabinet makers have terrible taste.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever look at a house that a cabinet maker or a woodworker built,
Mm-hmm.
it's fucking ugly.
Brother, I might get heat for that. I think because there's the return to Europa, the counterculture that we're with, okay?
Yeah.
And a part of that has to do with woodworking. And woodworking is like it's a blue collar, it's a hands-on, it's the opposite of the Globo home plastic social media bull. It's a different thing. Raw edge wood table.
Oh yeah, live edge.
Live edge, I'm sorry.
Live edge with resin.
Not yet. I was gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
You have that in your home?
Yeah. You'll get clowned on by so. Oh my god. Oh god. And I'm like, now finally we're getting this is progression.
You hate this, right?
I absolutely hate this. I did one of these in my tiny house because it was $20.
Yeah.
I found a bunch of slabs
You can find these.
$20.
Yeah.
You know who I find it from? This kid right here, whose dad has had a wood shop, and he didn't have the time to study Japanese joinery, so he decided to.
This is when you don't have skills. What it is, when you look at the world of woodworking and you see stuff that you could never do. There's stuff that I guarantee you, if I dedicated the rest of my life to woodworking, this would be the end result. Because I cannot, it's something I cannot ever do, okay? I promise you, if I spent 20 years dedicating myself to woodworking, made that my identity, I'd be making live edge tables by the end of it, okay?
Yeah.
And it's because when you want to be hands-on, it's warm, it's attractive, it's a romantic lifestyle. I'm a woodworker. I make stuff out of wood. It's elemental. It's primordial. When you see how it's devastating. If you want to be good at something and you see, like, if we weren't good at comedy, we want to be comedians, we saw someone who's real good at comedy, it's like devastating. Maybe you remember this feeling from your 20s. When we were first starting out, I used to feel this way sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially with art. You know what I mean? You get the
it's
idea.
Patience.
But it's not patience, because there's a lot of people. This is beyond the grasp of a lot of people, okay? And I know there are guys that are like false humble that'll be like, anybody could do it. No, you're just being false humble. You're just like, it's like if I was like, anybody could make comedy. No, it's not anybody. There's a lot. It's open to a lot of people, but it's not anybody. So you get overwhelmed by how complex and how beautiful wood can be, and what you do instead of giving it up is you hone in on one small detail. If I just get this one cut perfect, if I can get this wood perfectly flat, perfectly coated, if I can make something, and what they do is they take that wrought iron or that steel base that's like a rectangle. It's just very basic, and they're mistaking intentional minimalism for like they're mistaking a means for an end or something like that. But it's like if I wanted to be an artist and I was like, I'll just make one perfect line. I'm going to make the perfect line. on this perfectly flat white piece of paper. And then like, you see people do this with painting too. They do like the color wash painting where they're like, oh, I'm going to make this. Who's the guy that I'm thinking of?
Color blocking?
The color block guy?
Yeah, Rothko.
People see this painter, this guy, whether you like him or not, he's spawned a million imitators because it is satisfying to get enough mastery over material where you can lay paint down properly and have it look like this, right? Like you can anyway. That's what this 𝐿𝐕𝐄𝐻 table. That's essentially what's going on in the mind of these people making these fucking hideous 𝐿𝐕𝐻 tables, which they don't look good anywhere. They don't look good in the woods. They don't look good under a tent. They don't look good in a home. They are nasty.
It's lazy.
It's mental laziness.
Yeah.
Because you do have to get the wood. You do have to spend the time working on it, but it's a laziness of thought. Can you type in 𝐿𝐕𝐻 wood table expensive? Because there's one guy that's like making 20, Blacktail Studio. These
Silly Billy.
Yeah. Let's open this up.
Because you have a burl.
This is Cam with Blacktail Studio, and this week I work on the oldest piece of wood I've ever got my hands on.
Like that
I
matters.
introduced my very first product, and by the time it's all done, I realize why more people don't work with redwood.
You can tell by the end of it why more people don't. Like you haven't thought about it. But this isn't a thing. This is where this guy's obsessed with a stat.
Yeah.
It's the oldest wood.
The oldest, most expensive.
It's the oldest wood. Like that fucking matters.
What should an industrial designer's 6-year experience do to make tangible products in the States?
I think people make like micro products. You can basically, if you have a little bit of capital, you can basically make anything. There's people who start little companies, like one or like two people companies, it's like a guy and his girlfriend sometimes that'll do one. Nick does this. Nick's candles. So if you're an industrial designer and you're trying to make, what was his question? So the 6 years experience in the States, that's irrelevant. Just make something cool and make a website to sell it. Pick something that interests you and then make like 2 or 3 things or even just one thing in that vein and try to sell it, make a good looking website, you know? But like Nick did that with candles. You could do that with anything, with something 3D printed, some sort of like, I don't know, whatever you are interested in. I'm sure you've got some subset of industrial design that's interesting to you. As long as it's not car design, you can basically make whatever you want on your own. If you have like a couple $1,000 to get started, make a Kickstarter for it. If it's a good enough idea, it'll get picked up by all those silly billies on Reddit. They love to buy crap. You could do this glass container. They would love to buy that crap on Reddit.